Good morning and welcome back to World Talks. The Polish and German governments meet in Berlin on December 1st for the latest round of intergovernmental consultations, the first since Friedrich Merz became Chancellor of Germany. What can we expect and what are some of the key implications? To discuss, I'm joined right now by Andreas Umland, analyst, Stockholm Center for Eastern European Studies. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
So these are the first government-wide consultations since the start of Merz's chancellorship. So what tone or strategic priorities do you expect from Merz in this new, let's say, phase of dialogue?
First of all, I would indeed speak of a new phase of dialogue because we have now rather close alignment in the foreign policies, in, I would even say, the worldviews of Germany and Poland. In a way, perhaps a chance also to bring the Polish-German relations to a new level. The obvious priority for these talks will be the Russian-Ukrainian war, but also issues like transatlantic relations and European integration. Lets me hope here that this will be indeed a new phase in these relations is that we now have in Germany a government that looks in very similar ways on the world as the Polish government looks. So let's hope that this will be indeed a successful meeting.
Right, because the 1991 Treaty on Good Neighborliness laid the groundwork for this cooperation. But if we look back, these consultations died down and eventually stopped during the Law and Justice years, right? So how much political trust has realistically been rebuilt since the talks resumed in 2024 under Donald Tusk?
Yes, there have been different phases in the post-Soviet Polish-German relations, and there were, in the recent past, there were problematic relations for a long time before the full-scale Russian invasion in Ukraine started. A different interpretation of this conflict, and we had then this somewhat inept Normandy format where France and Germany participated in negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, but Poland did not participate, although that would have been the appropriate format. So, and then we had the peace government, and then indeed the tensions were high. Nowadays, I think the tensions are lower. They're still not entirely clear. There are some clouds on the sky, and I hope that this will be indeed now to go ahead and have this very important cooperation in Europe. I would even rate now as at least as important as the German-French relationship, if not more important because of the events further east in Ukraine.
We're going to discuss some of these problems in a moment, but first, I mean, many argue that what isn't said in Berlin may matter more than the official statement. So I wanted to ask you what signals, silences, perhaps diplomatic omissions, will you be watching most closely this week?
One of the issues that has now arisen is public opinion in both countries. The German public opinion has become very positive on Poland, which was not always, unfortunately, the case. Whereas, on the other hand, the Polish public opinion on Germany has deteriorated. I see that as an issue in parallel, by the way, to the deterioration of Polish public opinion on Ukraine. But I will, of course, mostly here expect from this meeting new impulses for helping Ukraine to in its war against Russia, in its defense against Russia, but also in helping Ukraine to in its approximation with the European Union and future integration with the European Union. That are the central topics now. And indeed, as I said, on the political level, not so much anymore on the social level, but on the political level, the preconditions are rather good, because as I see it, the Merz government has now taken a foreign political course that is very close to that of Poland.
So perhaps we could list some of these most meaningful areas for pragmatic Polish-German cooperation. What would that be for you?
Well, for the central topic for the Russian-Ukrainian war, this will obviously concern then the cooperation in the military and military-industrial and security spheres, the joint design of programs to counter Russian hybrid attacks, but also perhaps to speak in a more forward-leaning way about how to help Ukraine. For instance, there is a plan to extend Western or EU air support to the territory of Ukraine, to the air, to the skies of Ukraine, of Western Ukraine and Central Ukraine. That I think would be a great topic for the two sides to discuss. But there's also there are obviously a lot of things also discussed concerning the internal EU affairs, in particular how to deal with Hungary in under its Orban government, at least as long as it's in power. Hopefully, it will change next year, and to take a joint position to develop Europe as a geopolitical actor.
So let's look into some of the problems now. So compensation for the remaining victims of Nazi occupation remains, I think, the most intractable issue here. And given Germany's insistence that reparations are legally closed, is there any form of acknowledgement or formula that could still shift public or political perception in Poland?
I have avoided this topic because it is very complicated and, in a way, even intractable. Because the Polish and the German positions are here very clear and opposite to each other. Maybe there can be found a formula in which some of the issues that Poland still has concerning recent history can be addressed, but I'm afraid this is something that will probably continue to haunt a historical topic that will continue to haunt German-Polish relations, as also historical topics are haunting Polish-Ukrainian relations.
Mm-hmm. One sensitive recent incident was Poland refusing to extradite the men suspected of Nord Stream sabotage, right, to Germany. So do you think it had an impact on Polish-German relations, and how significant that impact was?
It's difficult to say how significant the impact was, but this incident was certainly noted in the German public, and in a way it was, I think, a useful shock for the German public that Poland has here taken such a very different approach to this issue than there is in Germany by the so-called Generalbundesanwalt, the federal procuracy, which is in a way, with its procedure against this Ukrainian group that may have indeed blown up the Nord Stream pipeline in September 2022, which is sort of continuing the old line of, I would say, the Schröder direction of German foreign policy, and is making this issue something that is important for German East European relations. Although, in fact, we should remember that both of these pipelines belong and still belong to Russia, to Gazprom, either fully or the majority belongs to Russia. And these pipelines were not operational anymore in September 2022 when they were destroyed. 3 of the strings were destroyed, and one of the strings was not destroyed and was not used since 2022. So this was an industrial ruin, you could say, already in 2022, before it was attacked by this Ukrainian group. And the Polish argumentation here for not extraditing or for holding up the extradition of this Ukrainian man was, I think, very useful for Germany because it highlighted once more the deficiencies of the previous Schröderian, I would call it, German Eastern policy.
All right. So now on the positive note, on defense, both nations agree on the need to strengthen NATO's eastern flank. But what kind of perhaps bilateral defense cooperation is realistic between Poland and Germany?
I think the main topic today is so-called hybrid war and the Russian attempts to infiltrate, so to say, the Western countries without regular military troops, and to use basically all non-kinetic means to destabilize the EU countries, and in particular those that are actively supporting Ukraine, and Poland and Germany are among them. And so there's a lot of commonality here in the interest, in the concerns, in the approaches, and that would seem to me a major topic of this meeting. How one can, for instance, create a drone wall, how one can prevent the infiltration of agents from Russia, how one can prevent information campaigns by Russia. So this is there's a lot of common interest and common concerns here, and that is, I think, also a chance for German-Polish relations, because, as we know, Germany had earlier a rather different approach to Russia, whereas Poland early on or always saw also the malign aspects of Russian foreign policy. So that would be a good chance. I would also hope that there would be perhaps a discussion of new ideas concerning military help for Ukraine. As I mentioned already, the main topic here within the discussion around security guarantees is, in my opinion, or should be, in my opinion, the so-called Sky Shield initiative, i.e., the creation of air protection zones over Western and Central Ukraine with the help of Western interceptor planes, or at least planes by those Western countries that are ready to provide their interceptor planes to help Ukraine defend its sky.
Now, in a different field, there are credible rumors of a possible symbolic gesture involving the return of Nazi-looted Polish cultural artifacts. And I wanted to ask you, how significant could such a move be in your opinion?
Well, I would ask, so to say, back to Poland, how significant could it be? I hope it will be, will have some significant. I think it's important, and that would perhaps be also a way to sort of to moderate this conflict about the World War that is still there between Germany and the German Guild. And responsibility for the war and the destruction in Poland. Hopefully, this could then help to bring both countries forward and to let them cooperate without this topic constantly reappearing.
And on this note, let's conclude. Andreas Umland, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more here on TV.